Hey everyone. So today we're going to be working on question 7 from Bluebook Test 1, Math Module 1, which is about statistics. And then I'll do 3 follow-up questions that sort of build off this question, right? So same as other videos. Again, if you have questions, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to help with this or other subjects. So number 7 is from a population of 50,000 people, 1,000 were chosen at random and surveyed about a proposed piece of legislation. Based on the survey, it is estimated that that 35% of people in the population support the legislation, with an associated margin of error of 3%. Okay, that could be important. Based on these results, which of the following is a plausible value for the total number of people in the population who support the proposed legislation? Okay, great. So there's four numbers here, right? There's the 50,000, which is the total population. There's the 1,000, the 35%, and the margin of error of 3%. So they're asking about it from the total number of people in the population. So it's going to be about the 50,000, not the 1,000. And then the base of that is 35%, right? So then what you're going to do is you're going to do 35%, and then there's a margin of error of 3%, right? So that means you can add 3%, so it could be up to 38%, or you can subtract 3% and go 32%, right? So the range is going to be between 32% to 38% of the 50,000, right? So then 50,000. Okay, so let's start with 32% of 50. And you can look at your answer choices, right? And based on your answer choices, you would know it's not A, it's not B. 30% of 50,000 is about 15,000, or yeah, 15,000. So it should be C, right? Because 31% is above 50,000. So even without doing the math, you can see that it's C. But let's work out the math to see the exact range, right? Maybe they wouldn't always be this obvious. So we'll do 30%, which is 32%, which is 0.32 times 50,000. Right? And what I like to do when I'm multiplying by 5, it's really dividing by half. So it's going to be 16, because 32 divided by half is 16. And then we add the zeros on. And we're going to get 16,000. Okay, so that's the first number. And then we do it over here for 38. So it'll be 0.38 times 50,000. Half of 38, right, is 19. And then we're going to add the 3 zeros. So we're going to get 19,000. So the value has to be between 16 and 19,000. And look, C is right in that range. Okay, that's great. So now we're going to go on to my first follow-up question. But the important thing here, right, besides just the math itself, is to look at the answer choices and save yourself time by choosing the only one that makes sense. That doesn't always work, but if it does work, that makes your life a lot easier and you'll be a lot happier. Okay, so a town has a population of 30,000. In a representative sample of 2,000 people, 500 people say they prefer bike rides to swims. Okay, I prefer swimming to bike rides, but what is the estimated number of people in the town who will prefer bike rides to swims? Okay, if you prefer swimming or bike rides, let me know in the comments. We can maybe run our own poll here. So we have 30,000 people, sample of 2,000. So we don't have the percentage this time, but we can find it, right, by doing 500 out of 2,000. Right, and you can plug that into the calculator, but I'm a big no calculator person, so I just cancel these out and you get 5 out of 20. That equals 0.25 or 25%, right? So it's going to be 25% of the population. So then we're going to do 0.25 times 30,000. Right, and again, let's look at the answer choices. If you can't do this math, right? 0.25 times 3 would get you 75. But let's look at the answer choices, right? This is more than half. This is half. This is a lot less. This is 25% of 10,000. So before I even did the math, right, I would say, oh, it's B. right? The others are too big or too small. But again, we'll do the math just to be thorough here on the test. If you can see it, don't do the math. Just save yourself time. But for people who maybe can't see it, we'll do the math out. So we'll do 0.25 times 3 is 0.75, right? So we're going to have the 75. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. So we imagined it was here, right? We would do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be the decimal units. So the comma goes here. And we get 7,500. Okay. So I'm guessing 75% of the population, right, prefers swimming, which I think is the right choice in life. But if you love bike riding again, that's great too. I also like running, but swimming's the best. It's just kind of hard to find a good place to swim sometimes, you know. Running, very low barrier of entry there. So let's go to the next one. A town has a population of 300,000 people. In a representative sample of 2,000 people, it's estimated that 15% of people prefer bike rides to swims, with a margin of error of 1%. What is a plausible value of people who prefer swims to bike rides? Okay, so this is similar, very similar to the one we just did as the actual question, right? Question 7. So we have 300,000 people, right? I think that's probably more a city than a town, but they want to call it a town. Okay. So then margin of error of 1%. So we're going to do 15 plus 1 and 15 minus 1. So the range is 14% to 16%. That's not how percent looks. Okay. And now we want to find the range that is, but look at what it's asking, right? Who prefer swims to bike rides, but this is who prefer bike rides to swims. So the range for people who prefer swims to bike rides would be 1 minus this, right? So it'd be 84% to 86%. And maybe, right, it could have been that there's people who don't prefer either, right? But we're assuming here that since they didn't give us any information and none of the answer choices say you can't solve, that it's one or the other. So it'll be 84% to 86%. And then we're going to do that times 300 per thousand, right? That doesn't have as easy a trick as the 500,000. We'll just have to do it out. But I would do, instead of doing out all those zeros, I would just do 84 times 3. And that gets me 12, carry the 1. 3 times 8 is 24, so it's 252. And then that would be after moving the decimal 2 to the right. Right, so that's like there, and then we're going to add 3 zeros. Oh, and look, we already know it's going to be D, right? Because, and we could have eliminated A and C because they're far less than half, and then we're going to be between D and B. But we already know it's going to be bigger than 252, right? So it's going to be D. And again, we'll just do the math out here for practice, for people to see. We do 86 times 3, put the multiplication sign here. 86 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18, so we write an 8. Carry the 1, and that's going to be 258,000, right? So that's our range, and this one falls at the lower end of the range, but still in the range. So it is T. Great. And now we'll go to one more. A town has a population of 20,000. Okay, that's more of a town-sized town. In a representative sample of 3,000 people, 500 people say they prefer airplane travel to train travel. If you choose someone randomly from the town, what is the probability they will prefer flying to trains? Okay, so we've switched it up. It's not just bike riding and swimming. I also prefer trains to planes, but I almost never take trains because they're surprisingly more expensive often. And they sometimes just take too long. You don't have too many options. But if we lived in a better world, trains would be the #1 option for everyone. In a representative sample of 3,000 people, 500 people say they prefer airplane travel to train travel. They will prefer flying to trains. Okay, so it's just the same as this, right? Airplane to train, so flying to train. So it's 500 out of 3,000. right? And then this one, actually, we don't use the 20,000 because they're not asking for how many people, it's just asking for the probability. So it'll be like this. We eliminate. 5 out of 30 becomes 1 out of 6, right? So it's going to equal 1/6. So again, we eliminate A, we eliminate C, and we eliminate D, right? And a lot of these questions, again, like in other videos I've done on this, is the math itself isn't too bad. It's just about processing the information in the question and knowing how to execute from there, right? So it's a lot about reading comprehension, actually. You know, people think if you're good at math, you don't have to be good at reading to do well, but you need to be able to read these questions to understand them well. You need to be able to dissect the information because it's not just going to be, you know, 3x plus 5 equals like 14 or something, and then you just solve for x. It's about giving you information, you dissect that information, and then you go from there. And then the math itself, sometimes it's hard, but often it's pretty straightforward. So if you have questions on this one or any other ones you want to see more like this, let me know. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep doing these every week. I'm also doing stuff on the English section or the reading and writing section. And I'm going to be putting out things for ACT in the future soon. I also have some fun math challenges to challenge your brain. And we'll keep going with this. So hope to see you all soon and hope you are enjoying your summer. Bye.